Now is Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, a Republican from New York. Congresswoman, thanks so much for being with us. I don't know if you heard Harry's segment right there, but why do you think Republican voter enthusiasm motivation is flagging?
Look, I think it's no surprise that the party in opposition is more motivated because they're not happy with the direction that things are going. But and that is no matter who's in power, right? The thing is that Republicans have to remind the voters what things were like 2 years ago. You know, under Joe Biden, we had open borders, we had record high 9% inflation, gas prices rose to $5 a gallon. Things were not good, and cities like mine, we had illegal immigrants wreaking havoc, these gang members, drug traffickers, etc. Since then, we've successfully worked with President Trump to secure the border. We have zero illegal crossings. We have gotten rid of those gangs that were wreaking havoc on our streets. We have a safer country. Crime across all sorts of categories have declined. And we've delivered the record-setting tax cuts, which I think is significant. Beginning next week, Americans are going to file their tax returns. Working Americans, middle-class families, senior citizens, they're all going to receive more money back. Had the Democrats been in charge, those taxes would have increased, and that's a reality. They said that straight out that they were going to do that. But we delivered on our promises, reducing taxes for tipped workers, overtime workers, seniors who earn $75,000 or $150,000 if married. They're going to get what they paid in Social Security tax refunded to them. We expanded the child tax credit. So there's a lot of good things that people will see economically as well. We're already seeing trillions of dollars in private investment. And remember, President Trump negotiated a ceasefire that released hostages that were being held in Gaza. A lot of good things have happened over the last year, and we're just getting started.
Almost a day-by-day recounting of the last 365 days in office there, Congresswoman. First of all, inflation was very high under Biden, certainly higher than used to, but not anywhere near a record. If everything you say is true, then why in the most recent CNN... Hang on. You said record. It's just not a record.
The highest in 4 decades.
It's not a record. It's not a record. But
still the highest in 4 decades. It's a record.
It's high.
I'm
just telling. I'm not denying it's high. It was very high, much higher than people are used to, but it wasn't a record. If everything you say is true, why do voters then say that the president doesn't have the right priorities? In the most recent CNN poll, only 36% say he has the right priorities. 64% say no. What do they see?
Look, I think the president needs to stay focused. I think the president needs to stay focused on the issues that the Americans are talking about, right? He has done things that he said he was going to do, right? He said he was going to secure the border. He did that. Great. However, people don't want to see some of the ways that immigration is being handled. For example, you know, when we have temporary protective status for Haitian communities that are contributing to our healthcare system here in my district, I have concerns that our nursing homes are going to lose employees come February 3rd. So there's things that need to be done, I think, in a balanced manner. And I also think the president needs to continue focusing on what he's doing in the economy. He has drilled down prescription drugs in numerous areas.
Just overnight, the president didn't seem to be talking about that. What the president was talking about was Greenland. He was posting text messages from world leaders that had sent him on Greenland. He was putting up a screenshot of himself planting an AI flag over Greenland and Canada. How much of a priority is that to the voters in New York's 11th congressional district?
I don't think it's a priority, and that's kind of what I'm trying to say here, is that we need to focus on the things that we've done successfully, like lowering taxes, bringing down inflation rates, mortgage rates. You have gas prices are down. They're about $2.80 here in my district. These are things that people want to see, and we're delivering on that. But when you focus on things like Greenland in a way that could be hostile, I think that takes away from the successes. And it's same thing with immigration, right? People wanted a secure border. They wanted people deported who were criminals. That's happening. But when you see also these broad brush executive orders that would take away temporary protective status from healthcare workers that we need in our nursing homes right now, or slowing down the renewals for parolees from, let's say, Ukraine who escaped war, who are working right now. They're here, they're working, and they're losing their work authorization and becoming illegal in essence because they're not being renewed quickly enough. That is a problem, and I think that will hurt our economy. But overall, Again, trillions of investment coming on, manufacturing being repatriated, taxes have come down, energy costs have come down, particularly gas prices. And so that's all positive. But we need to stay focused. I wouldn't focus, if I were him, as much on Greenland. But if I understand his strategic posturing here, it is critical for shipping lanes, for critical minerals, but it needs to be done in a diplomatic way, not with threats.
All right, Congressman Nicole Malliotakis, interesting that you were bringing up that in your district you think that some of the president's moves on immigration are going too far. Thank you for being with us this morning. Appreciate it. Kate?
Breaking